Egypt is situated in northeastern Africa on the Mediterranean Sea. The major population of the country is spread along the luxuriant valley of the river Nile because the remaining part of the country is heavily deserted. Egypt has been recognized for its culturally enriched ancient civilization. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the oldest and largest of the three pyramids in the Giza necropolis, which is aligning to Cairo city. Egypt and India not only hold a strong modern history, but hold a contemporary relationship on the basis of its regional specific area between the two countries. The friendship between the two countries started from the Nehru-Nasser friendship and cooperation. Both countries epitomize the main driving force of non-aligned movement and are continuing to be the torchbearers of this movement. India has traditionally been one of Egypt's most important trading partners in the Asian continent. The Indo-Egypt Bilateral Trade Agreement, operative since March 1978 and based on the standard Most Favoured Nation clause involving free trade in foreign exchange, has replaced the earlier trade agreement of 1953. The active intertrade is developing constantly on numerous cooperation agreements in the field of information technology specifically, and joint ventures in the field of pharmaceuticals industry, auto assembling, production and carbon industry. Some protocols in the field of space, population and even family planning have also taken place. To strengthen bilateral economic relations, a preferential trade agreement and a new double taxation avoidance agreement are being negotiated by the two sides. Other important negotiations include air connectivity talks and merchant shipping agreement. The tourism cooperation agreement has been ratified by both the countries as well. The significance of strong bond between the two countries can be seen in the large number of agreements signed and jointly moved together by both on various fields like economic, social, political and cultural front. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Hello and welcome to Indian Standard Time. I'm Siddharth Varadarajan. Joining me today is the Ambassador of Egypt, Mr. Hatem Tageldin, in what will be the first of a series of episodes of IST focusing on the India-Africa Summit, which will take place in New Delhi later this year. Sir, this will be the third India-Africa meeting, and many of us are looking forward to the summit itself. Large number of heads of government and heads of state will be coming to Delhi, including senior delegation representation from Egypt. And for us at Rajya Sabha TV, this provides a very good occasion for us to explore the full gamut of India-Africa relations and also to look closely at India's relationship with major African countries. And we're starting with you, Egypt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Egypt is one of those countries that has had a very special place in the hearts of Indians, apart from historical ties which go back millennia. Pandit Nehru, who was India's first Prime Minister, was one of the founding members of the non-aligned movement with Gamal Abdel Nasser, and India and Egypt for many years enjoyed very close political relations. What was missing in the past was a high level of economic cooperation. But that's now changing. It seems that today the level of trade, investment between Egypt and India is the highest it's ever been. Tell us something about the nature of India and Egypt's economic relations today. What is the scope for future expansion, and whether there are any problems between the two sides at present?
Well, to confirm that really we are going in the right directions. We have been already witnessing from 2011 an average balance of total trade between the two countries up to $5 billion. The potential is so high, even if to get more. We had the Joint Trade Commission have been already convened by the end of last year in Delhi, and they already agreed that hopefully by end of 2016 we'll reach $8 billion. There is already a successful stories of investment of Indian businessmen working in Egypt. Over 50 companies is already investors. They already working and established in Egypt. There's some of them even with the heavy weight of like TRC Sanmar, which is they're investing already $1.1 billion in petrochemical.
And the total Indian FDI is about 5 billion in Egypt right now?
It's $3 billion now, but the potential is getting high. For example, maybe in last 2 weeks, it has been announced already. One of the companies called MB, which is working in textiles in Egypt in over 2 decades, and now they decided to go for land reclamation, and they're going to invest around $1 billion in Egypt. It means the potential is getting really higher. We had a new investment law after the successful summit in Sharm el-Sheikh of Egypt economy in last March, which was already announced. The new investment law, which give like free lands in industrial areas, certain areas, and then you get like 10 years of exemptions of taxes. And that allowed the Indian community to come to invest there. And it gives also the scope of how you can, we promote also for agreement that we are part of it in the regions, like 3 African regions was already signed an agreement, and through that you can get a free zone of moving all the commodities if it will be produced in Egypt.
You mentioned land reclamation. Whereabouts will this? Which area? Which part of Egypt?
Which in a certain area. What you know, we have a lot of deserts in Egypt, right. And we have a project that the president have already announced of having 1.5 million fidan of reclamation. And even we're discussing now.
This is along the coast, is it, or reclaiming desert land into
yes,
fertile?
Yeah,
okay,
and then we already have even discussions now going on with the FAO, okay. With the United,
so
with the UN.
Greening the desert.
Yes, and it's already also going with some World Bank and others to see how to finance that, and also we get the interest of investors that they want to join us in these efforts. Of course, there is an opportunity also of the new Suez Canal, which was already successfully have been integrated in 1 year.
Now tell us something about this fascinating project.
That was really an amazing. I mean, this is a gift to the world, and also not only that, but it's also showed the efforts and the work that it needed and the hope for the future of giving a project that it was already planned to be finished in 3 years. But we did it in 1 year, and the president announced it. el-Sisi announced it in August 6 of last year, 2014, yes. And by August 6, 2015, it was integrated, and India was participating on that.
So, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us what was wrong with the previous canal. Why was there more work needed?
It is needed to speed up the trade along
to allow two-way shipping.
Yeah, so it's a gift for the world for that, because it was only one way, and you had the convoys that had to be from the north to the south in the morning and in the evening. Now you save the transit time has been shortened. You have.
So you have 2 parallel canals.
Exactly, and it will almost double. It would almost double the ships that will be crossing that. Of course, we are also deepening the old one, so we're working both of them. And amazing also experience of how the government managed to collect the cost. I mean, needed for drilling that, which was $8.5 billion in 8 days from the Egyptians, because that was decided, and the president announced it, and we announced.
So this was raised through bond sales.
It was bonds,
Egyptians.
exactly, and Egyptians, even student.
No external financing was involved.
No, there was no external, and it has been done. Money was collected, and we managed to finish everything in 1 year.
Right, and this was inaugurated in the beginning of August.
On August 6th.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
In terms of trade, you mentioned a figure of about 3.
Its trade is $5 million. $5 billion.
Yeah. How, is this balanced trade, or does it favor? Is it more on the Egyptian side or the Indian side?
Before, actually, it was almost balanced. Okay. Now it's in the favor of the Indian side, which shows also that even.
And what are we selling? It's mostly buffalo meat.
It's buffalo meat, okay. And also steel and cotton yarn and 3-wheelers component, and also manufacturing, so and machineries,
Indian auto rickshaws,
yes, and machineries. The tuk-tuk, we call it in Egypt tuk-tuk, okay. and also machineries.
Are they popular in your cities?
They are popular, especially out of the urban areas, okay. And of course it's still, but it needs some also regulations to arrange that. So we're working that, but I believe that this is Bajaj is working there, and okay. They are in the market. Also, there is other companies very, very successful. Burla is working there. Okay. Flix was packing materials for food processing in general. So there is potential of going more than that. And we can see that India, I mean, the South-South cooperation is also very important. And we believe there is models, and there is a few sectors that already have been developed much in India, right. Which we can really invest from that. And now we are working with a joint venture on medical sector, okay. The pharmaceutical specifically, that we have now a new factory in the city in Cairo, which is working with the virus C, the medication, which is very important for the liver. For us, it's working to develop it now and get the experience of the know-how also from India.
Now, Egypt is situated in a very interesting geographical position. You're part of Africa, you're part of the Middle East. If you look at the Sinai Peninsula, you're part of Asia.
The Arab world and the Asia also.
Exactly.
Yes.
And since this program is pegged on the India-Africa Forum, India-Africa Summit, I want you to put on your hat as an African country and tell us, as an African diplomat, how do you rate, or what's the value you place on Africa-India cooperation? Now, Africa as a continent is being wooed by the Chinese, by the Japanese, by the United States. Is there something special that India brings to the table from the African point of view?
Well, of course, there is a lot to bring, of course. But let me first also to tell you that Egypt is the largest African trade partner to India. Okay. And also there is a potential of developing and investing really and working together on that for the benefit of the African continent. I mentioned earlier that maybe there was a regional agreement in Africa. Actually, COMESA, AAC, and SADC, the three sub-regions African groups have already, which is a group of 26 African countries, over 600 million inhabitants. They already signed an agreement last June, and the leaders meet in Sharm el-Sheikh, and had a trade-free zone between these 26 countries, which is a potential and an open market for the Indian. Yes, of course. If you come to invest there, then you will freely move between 26 countries without paying anything. Also, we are part of other different regional agreements, and with Europe, with the US, even we have the quiz. We have the qualified industrial zone, which is also apply if you get the components from the Israeli manufacturing 10%. Then you can get it to go to the American market with free of any charges, also of any cost. So that's on the part of the trade. When it comes to the forum, the partnership, it's really still young partnership. It started on the 2008. This is the third forum. We are looking forward for the potential of enhancing the relation. We are evaluating, and we need really action also to have the implementation plan. We need a follow-up mechanism, and I believe that the Indian government have recognized that, and we are working together. Even the African ambassadors here, we have been involved on the process with Addis Ababa, also from the African Union, try to finalize how it will be the declaration, also the official, the Delhi declaration and the action plan. The potential, of course, of enhancing of this partnership, of investing and getting the experience of India in education, in IT, in medical sector in general. You have developed a lot in different sectors that we believe with the South-South cooperation we can build on that, and we can benefit from that.
Okay, so there's plenty of areas where the two sides can cooperate. On that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, viewers, we will discuss other areas of multilateral and bilateral cooperation between Egypt and India. Keep watching. Welcome back to IST. My guest this week is Ambassador Hatem Tageldin, Ambassador of Egypt. Before we took a break, we were discussing the bilateral relationship and, of course, India-Africa. One aspect of the India-Egyptian relationship is the shared concern that both countries have about the growing threat posed by extremism and terrorism in the wider region, all the way from North Africa, West Asia, cutting into Central Asia, South Asia. We know that this is an issue that the Indian and Egyptian sides have been talking about. Madam Sushma Swaraj was recently, the External Affairs Minister was recently in Cairo. Can you tell us something about this topic as a subject for cooperation? What can India and Egypt do together to fight, to take the fight against terrorism to a higher level?
Well, both countries really share the same interest, the same concern. We are both fighting. I mean, the counterterrorism, we have to work together in that, and extremism, we have to fight it. And then the visit of the Honorable Minister Swaraj to Egypt was, in this sense, was very positive, and was very accurate in time by discussing these issues. She really supported even the Egyptian action for counterterrorism, and not only condemned the terrorism in Egypt, but she also supported all our action in that. There was an agreement to continue cooperation and to work together on security issues and counterterrorism, and it will be followed in the coming few months by a few visits that we believe it will be useful in that, from our side and from the Indian side also. So also, just a few days ago, that was the President of Egypt and the Prime Minister of India, they met in the United Nations, and they confirmed also this cooperation and the historical ties between the two countries, and that we should work together in fighting that. The counter-terrorism that we have faced in the region, and also you face it also on the west and in the region and in your area, that's also keep the opportunities of to find how to coordinate that. Also, defense is another sector of cooperation between the two countries that hopefully it will be developed more in the coming period.
One of the priority areas for the Indian side, particularly with the new government headed by Prime Minister Modi, has been the need to have the United Nations adopt comprehensive convention against terrorism. Now, this has been a process that has lasted 20 years or longer. It hasn't gone very far. In the past, Egypt and other Arab countries have had reservations about this convention. Are you optimistic that some of these differences that have existed in the past can be overcome in the months ahead?
We believe the international community now, they can really witness what's happening on different regions, and it's affecting in many countries. Even you can hear in the media every day what's happened. So it really needs a collective efforts from all the countries, member states, to work together to reach an agreement. And I think this is something that you can see in the UN, even the GA now on the occasion of the 70th session. I mean, this is an issue has been discussed thoroughly, and I believe that everyone will recognize that then that they have to support and find out a common ground to work together in that. And we also work with, and even give the example of what's happening in with ISIS in Iraq and Syria. We have the international coalition working together on that, and Egypt is part of that.
Right. In many ways, Egypt is caught in the front lines. You have an unstable neighbor to your west, Libya. Ever since there was regime change there, the situation hasn't stabilized, and we know that terrorist groups are active, and of course in other parts of the region. How has Egypt succeeded in keeping these threats away from its borders? There was one incident in a remote part of Sinai which was dealt with, but otherwise the borders of Egypt seem secure and safe from this threat. How have you managed it?
Well, I mean, the government has a very clear plan. I mean, we have already took actions very firmly, and we put on the priority of our agenda is stability, counter-terrorism, and fighting extremism. We work with also the international community in that. We believe that these groups of militant groups, what happened, as you mentioned, in Sinai or any other regions on the region, I mean, in Libya or in others, they are in a way interlinked, that they are connected in ideology, and they're working together. And then,
so even if they're not formally associated, but they have a common ideology.
In a way or another, yes. And then that needs the collective efforts of the international community, as I mentioned, that it is really needed to confront that. I hope now things getting more positive on reaction by the international community. We can see that things has been moving during the UN meeting, the General Assembly, and hopefully there are a lot of meeting on parallel on the margin of the GA, and I hope that will be at the end will be bring us a better vision of how to work together in the international community to confront this phenomenon.
Right. Ambassador Tageldin, if I may ask you a little bit about the domestic situation in Egypt. In India, people watched with a lot of interest when the Arab Spring erupted in the North African region, first in Tunisia, then of course in Egypt. Since then, Egypt has been through considerable change and transformation. The regime of Mubarak made way for Morsi. Now, of course, President el-Sisi won the election also. How would you characterize the political situation in Egypt today, and how different is it from before the Arab Spring happened?
Well, I mean, the situation now is getting, if you follow daily what's happening there, there's a lot of improvement, a lot of development on the grounds, on the domestic affairs. We have a government and a leader that he know exactly what we need, what we want. We had a roadmap, a political roadmap that already we are finalizing soon, the third stage. We had a phase of new constitutions, and then we had the referendum passed positively, and then we had the presidential elections, which was again with all, voters have been already supported the president, and then the third and the final station and phase now, which is the parliamentary elections, which was already announced. It will start at the embassies at all the missions abroad. We are preparing for that on the 16th and 17th of October, and it will be followed in the second phase by November. Hopefully by the 2nd of December, everything will be finalized in domestically and in all embassies abroad. And by finishing this last phase, we believe that then everything is all the institutions has been ready to functioning. We already have the plan also of economic development, of having the Suez Canal, as I mentioned, as a major huge project that it allow to invite also the international community to participate in economic development zone, which 500 square kilometers, which will develop services and other services in general, and trade and economy in the region, which will develop this and allow all the international community to participate on that. Then this shows that what is the government looks for the human rights, respect of human rights, developing the economy and investment, and to attract or to make the environment in general be attracted to that.
Mr. Ambassador, journalists around the world were gratified when President el-Sisi chose to put an end to the controversy surrounding the imprisonment of 2 Al Jazeera journalists. And there is hope now that with this unpleasant episode out of the way, media operations in Egypt by journalists, Egyptian journalists as well as foreign journalists, will take place in an unrestricted way. Is this a fair expectation?
Well, the case is not maybe that in the sense of the way that it has been. Maybe some of the media have been already expressed, but actually they have been released or pardoned by the president with his authority, and that was during the time of the Eid, and that's the time was hundreds of not only the 2, but it was 100. But in general, we have hundreds of journalists, foreigners or Egyptians and correspondents. They are working in Egypt freely, and no one have really take any action against them, because they are respecting the law. There is a law, there is a regulations, and if they follow that, you will not face any problems. So media have been in a way internationally using this issue as with their own view, but this again the problem of difficulties of not having direct media to media cooperation, and also think tanks and others that we look forward in India, especially that when I'm talking also that to express and to show where we have developed already in different sectors.
I think it would be wonderful if Indian newspapers and TV channels were to have correspondents in Cairo. I think that would be a very good positive step forward. We don't have too much of time, but in the last minute and a half that I do have, I want to for the benefit of our viewers, draw you out on how Egypt looks at the crisis in Syria. This is a war that has led to great refugee movements, terrible loss of life, and of course has created an arc of instability with the growing influence of ISIS. Egypt has been active in terms of trying to find a political settlement. How optimistic are you that even at this late stage, a political solution is possible to the Syrian civil war?
Well, let me just express also to explain that we have over 140,000 refugees, Syrian refugees in Egypt. So we are also part of even of this flow of refugees going around the other countries. And from day one, we have been already supporting having political solution for this case. Egypt has been part of, when it comes to ISIS, we are part of the, as I mentioned, of the international coalition against ISIS. We also hosted 2 meetings for the moderate opposition, Syrian opposition, that already hosted a meeting. We tried to work on the basis of the Geneva Conventions, and we feel that there should be a political solution based on the unity of the country. We supported the Metsura plan, and we're working to that. We believe that there is a movement going on in the last few weeks on the grounds, and also with other players on the region and internationally, and we hope that it will help to reach an agreement between all the factors there.
On that note, we'll have to end it there, Ambassador. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of IST.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this episode. Please join us again next week with another guest. Thank you for watching.